Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fire Up. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Pleased to be joined by my co-host, Madman Mancini. And before I bring Mark on the line, I do want to take care of some special business ahead of time. First of all, obviously our pre-election day. So, folks, if you're looking to make a difference out there, tomorrow's your opportunity to do exactly that. And another thing, over the weekend, I lost an aunt. I saw her 5 years ago. Her name is Aunt Mary Must, but the good news is the woman only lived 103 years old. So, my goodness, I think she did pretty good. Aunt Mary Must, rest in peace. It was good seeing you one last time 5 years ago. And I know that you'll definitely be missed by a lot of people, but I was thrilled that I had an opportunity to see her one more time 5 years ago. Meanwhile, we got a good show tonight. Madman Mancini and Mad Mouth. There you have it. That's a Monday showcase here. Earlier tonight, we had Fire Up Michigan. Now we have Fire Up. And of course, Mark and I are on Monday nights, unless we tell you otherwise. Well, Mark, you ready to talk about two or three good, strong topics tonight? Because I make sure that our shows are definitely equipped with the best that we can go out there and throw. All right, Mark, give me some World Series observations. We know the Astros took out the Phillies in six. Some thoughts.
Well, I'll tell you, the Astros six straight American League Championship Series. They've been to the World Series quite a few years. They're kind of built like the New England Patriots in more ways than one, top to bottom. They seem to succeed. They lose a guy like Garrett Cole. They lose a Springer. They lose a Correa. They don't miss a beat. The core's there. Bregman, Altuve, Gurriel. I mean, Verlander. What more can you say? In the leadership of Dusty Baker, the oldest manager to get a World Series win. Props to this team. They've gone through a lot of adversity from the trash can, cheating, banging the things, whatever. This team is a team that you got to really watch out for. And they're not going to go away quietly. They're going to be for years to contend. As long as this core is intact, Houston's going to be tough to beat. But the Phillies, on the other hand, had a great year. Nobody expected them to do what they did. I think it's remarkable what Thompson did replacing Girardi and leading this cast. And I'll tell you, if they fine-tune it with a little more pitch in there, keep your eyes on the Phillies, man.
Yeah, you said a mouthful on all fronts. I'm just happy that Dusty Baker was able to win his first World Series as a manager. I think a lot of people are relieved that he finally got one. I was glad that Justin Verlander was able to finally get a World Series win. WIN with Justin Verlander in Game 5 was a very pivotal moment for him to get it. I know they'll get a lot of people off his back, and I believe he's a heavy favorite to win the Cy Young Award in the American League as well. Justin Verlander is the type of guy who I think could easily maybe the next and only guy that will get to the 300 win plateau. After that, the way baseball's set up, I don't see it happening at all. So more power to the Astros. And I'll tell you what, Bryce Harper to me is always one of my favorite players because of the way he runs in the walls, his passion, his leadership, and the fact that he makes everybody around him. Rob Thompson did do a heck of a job. He really, really, really did. So more power to him. Think about it. The Phillies were on house money the whole time. They were beating everybody in their path. But unfortunately, the Astros were just way too much. 116 win team. As deep as they were, you're right that there has been a fair amount of roster turnover for the Astros, and all they do is keep winning and winning and winning. And look, you keep the core there, and what do you have? A World Series championship. So, unfortunately, because of my responsibilities here on our network, as well as on the road with covering games, I wasn't able to watch much of the World Series, but I certainly kept tabs on it. But I do know that I did see a little bit. Not like I didn't see anything. It's just not as much as I normally have because our shows are done in prime time is what they are. So therefore, there's a mini conflict. But more power to the Astros. They deserved it. They played hard. They were consistent from top to bottom all year long, and they were rewarded on the back end. And Dusty, enjoy it. I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to get another one now. So.
Yeah.
Man has a fire that's burning and is burning deep. So there you have it. The Houston Astros win it in 6 games over the Philadelphia Phillies. And without a doubt, I think the upside for the Phillies is definitely nothing but up.
Well,
all right.
Next and not topic. Only that, Scott, just to finish that, I think what Baker gave him was a Coleman effect.
Oh yeah.
more in more ways than one. I mean, you saw it. And I think what Houston did was they just blocked out the negativity. They were like villains. I mean, they're probably the most hated team across 4 major sports if you want to look at it. But, what they did is they just blocked out all the negativity, focused on what the task was at hand, and finished the job. And you're right, Justin Verlander. I mean, what that series seemed to turn after the Phillies won 7-0 to take a
Yeah.
2-1 series lead. They just couldn't get the offense going the next 3, and then Houston just shut them completely down. Presley was just unbelievable.
Well, there's no question what you said. Mark is 100% correct. He was a calming influence. And, of course, the Astros not their 15th no-hitter in franchise history, albeit the combined version, but they did limit them to no hits. And you're right. I do feel that the series turned right after that. And, obviously, the Astros roll with it the rest of the way. So, but calming, in fact, yeah, he walked into a hornet's nest. Prior to that, he was with the Washington Nationals. I think he got a raw deal out of there.
Yeah.
Of course, he was with the Cubs and then the San Francisco Giants. But as it turns out, Dusty Baker did a remarkable job in Houston, and he was definitely a calming effect for sure. All right, this is a topic I've been looking forward to talking with you for a while, and I'm glad we'll have a time to address it tonight. Kyrie Irving, Mark, excuse me. Okay, should he be run out of the NBA?
Well, I think he should. I mean, I think the problem here is it's funny with the NBA that when there seems to be a problem, the players come up and, bring it to the forefront. How come the players didn't step up to the forefront when this guy brought up this kind of comment? I mean, and get away with it. So somebody should have said, hey, listen, this is not what we do around here. We saw that in 1988 out here in Los Angeles when Jesse Orozco tried to put eye black in Kirk Gibson's baseball cap, and Kirk Gibson said, hey, the hell with you, man. Well, I'm not here to play these games. I'm here to win a World Series. Right. So I think what the players should have done was take a stand on this individual. And, the NBA's changed in my book. It's not like what I grew up with Bird and Magic and, Dr. Jays and all these guys. Now it's almost like a me, myself, and I, and I'm not a big Kyrie Irving guy. And I'm not a Kevin Durant guy.
I agree. I mean, let's face reality. We both grew up in the same era. We can appreciate it. Think about, but when you talk about Kyrie Irving, I think there's only one word that stands out: excessive drama with this guy. Number one, vaccine was an issue, right? 2, the Capitol riots had issues there. Now we got this, or I think he's even I think Nike dropped him in terms of taking away, won't launch his new shoe. So you have vaccine, then the fact that he's a part-time player. As much as I struggle with Stephen A. Smith because he's a little bit too loud for my taste, Stephen A. Smith has certainly pointed out everything that's wrong with Kyrie Irving, which is everything. Okay, I think just send the guy home. But when is enough, Mark, okay, with Kyrie Irving when it comes to his drama?
Well, I think when you look at it, it started in Cleveland. He had a good opportunity to make some big money and win championships with LeBron, and they had a problem with LeBron. Went on to Boston. You saw the problems in Boston. Then he goes to Brooklyn. He orchestrates the deal with Kevin Durant and himself, and they bring in DeAndre Jordan. And, then the backlash getting Steve Nash out of there. This is a guy that's lost $330 million. You could check the facts on that.
Well, I know.
And when you look at it, when you look at the thing, the only thing I seemed to agree with him on was the vaccine thing, because I thought, that should be a medical choice in some ways. And I might get ripped on that, but I don't really care. You got to stay firm in something in what you believe in. And, if a guy doesn't want to take it, he shouldn't be forced to take it. That's what I kind of agree with him. But everything else around here is just hogwash. You can't stand here and disrespect what happened with the Holocaust and stuff like that, and not expect to get, negative comments coming your way. This thing's going to cost him more than the $330 million. I think he's one step out of the league. And this is going to be, he's going to probably have to go to Japan or something to play. Who's going to take a flyer on him now that all this has been said and done?
Yeah, no, you said a mouthful. $330 million, Mark, and counting. I just alluded to the shoe deal that was negated by Nike launching that shoe. And to me, the Capitol riots and then the bubble, not wanting to play in the bubble. If it isn't one thing, it's another. And as I said, Mark, when is enough enough? This guy, to me, burned his bridges on every stop. Left Cleveland, Boston, and now he's here. Pretty bad.
And the league, you know what? When you watch the league, Scott, it's kind of hard to watch. There's no defense being played.
Yeah.
There's some feel-good stories what the Warriors have done. My Milwaukee Bucks are 9-0, going for 10 tonight in Atlanta. Cleveland's a good story, 8-1. I mean, what they've done, but there's just so much drama that it just takes away from the good in this league.
Oh, no question about it, Mark. I mean, I don't remember the last time I brought an NBA guest, not because I have a problem with the sport. It's just I've gotten to a point where my heart's just not in it because whoever I would bring on. Now, I do have a couple that I probably will bring on that may be broadcasters and other people. That's a different story. Broadcasters only tell a story. They don't play the game. And I will say this, though. I did have an opportunity to meet up with Donis Haslam, actually.
Nice
Oh, he's a super nice guy. And I had asked the guy whether or not he would ever consider owning a NASCAR team. He said he would never rule out the idea of doing that when his career's up. Here's a guy that's an undrafted free agent, landed with his hometown team at Miami, and he's been there for 20 years. To me, this guy was right about the NBA, Donis Haslam. He really is. And Kyrie Irving is everything that's wrong about the NBA. When I say the National Drama League, Mark, I say the National Drama League, but it wasn't that way when we were back in the 80s and 90s when I was covering the Pistons full time. And I'll tell you, it's just unfortunate. But Kyrie Irving should be waived. I don't remember what NBA analyst. In fact, I think I know. Bomani Jones on ESPN said that the Nets should waive him as quickly as possible.
Well, I think I think he's played his last game in Brooklyn. I really do. I think this 5-game suspension or whatever it is, that this thing's going to get up to 30 games because I think Adam Silver is going to step in, and this guy is going to be. He's got 1 foot out of the league. I don't know anybody that would take a flyer on him, considering all the damage he's done in 3 cities. Why would you invest in it? I don't look at talent as much as I look at character. And there's no character with this guy.
Well, Mark, we did get a comment in the chat room. Guardy3, thank you very much for chiming in. I'm going to read the comment. Okay. Brooklyn is the worst team when it comes to being set up for the future. No picks, not much young talent. And the only trade asset they have is Durant, maybe a couple veteran bench pieces. Well, Guardy hit the nail on the head, Mark. Respond to Guardy3. Thank you very much, Guardy3, for coming in here. We really appreciate that.
Well, he's basically right there. And, I'll take it one step further. I mean, I look at Kevin Durant. Here's a guy that ran the coattails in Golden State, won a championship. He couldn't win anything in Oklahoma. Then he hightails it out of Golden State, having problems with Draymond Green, wants to go to Brooklyn. And what have they done in Brooklyn? I've always said, and you can argue this fact, I don't have Kevin Durant in my top 50 all-time basketball players. I don't care what anybody says. There's a lot of guys that come ahead of Kevin Durant in my book.
You know what? We're supposed to disagree, but you're making me sick. I have to agree with you again. I don't put anybody into a top 50 category until their career is up, and I judge the entire body of work. I don't. I don't believe in the words future Hall of Famer. No, not doing that. I don't put nobody in the top 50. I mean, Kevin Durant maybe is arguably the top player in this generation, and he is a heck of a player. So I'm not going to show any negativity or disregard for him. But in terms of top 50 in the NBA, to get in the top 50 in the NBA, you have to go back to the 50s and at least the 1950s and talk about the fact that at least top 50 in the NBA, there's a lot of players.
Well, not only that, when you look at what we grew up in with the Showtime Lakers, the Sixers with Dr. J, McGinnis, you saw the Celtics front line of Parrish, McHale, and Bird, your Pistons.
Yeah.
You put a guy like Kevin Durant on any one of those teams, he would be held accountable or he'd be pretty much thrown out of the city on a flatbed.
Yeah, but I'd like to think most players would be held accountable back in that era. Kevin Durant for sure, but a lot of them would, which is probably why you and I feel the way we do about the NBA because I just don't feel that much of it. I think one of the last guests I ever had on a show was for a different network, and you might know the name Roy Hinson.
Yeah, Roy Hinton. I
And he
remember that.
actually lived,
Indiana Pacers.
yeah, I think he was with Philadelphia too, if I remember correctly. But he was here, and Roy was a nice guy. I had an opportunity to do something with him back in the day. But I'm not saying everything bad about
Well, and
the
not
NBA.
only that, Scott, I think, when you look at the NBA and you want to see where teams hold players accountable, I mean, Milwaukee, Golden State, Cleveland, but look at in your neck of the woods in Miami. They don't play around with Pat Riley over there. Pat Riley was shipping right out of South Florida.
That's true. Yeah, you are so true, Mark. So I should point out too. Yeah, no, Pat Riley doesn't take a whole lot of nonsense from anybody at all. Of course, explains why. I mean, Kyrie Irving to me would struggle with any coach. The fact that Steve Nash said this before, and I'll say it again. Okay, Steve Nash should be thankful he is out of that dysfunctional situation. He really,
Well,
really should.
yeah, and you saw what happened in Florida when LeBron James was down there, and he basically wanted Eric Spoelstra fired. And Pat Riley said, "Listen, you can go back to Cleveland or go to Los Angeles. We don't get rid of Spoelstra here. You're going before he goes." And I think that was adamant. I think Riley said, "Hey, I brought you in here to win a championship with Bosch and Wade, and now if you don't like it, we're not going to get rid of the coach that took us to the promised land." And it says a lot about Pat Riley, and I've always respected a guy like him.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pat Riley is Pat Riley. And you being an LA guy ought to know that when Magic Johnson had Paul Westhead run out of town,
Yeah.
who the Lakers bring on, they brought in Pat Riley.
Pat
What I'm
Riley.
going to do. Yeah, so while we have a moment here, I just want to let everybody just joining us subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel or visit www.southfloridatribune.com. And to advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio. Yes, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you have difficulties locating it through our website, no problem. Go to youtube.com, search for South Florida Tribune, hit the subscribe button. You're good to go. Part of what we do on our YouTube channel is not only do we do these live streams, we have our shows, but we do a lot in the field as well. And I think that's really, really important between our media availabilities, what we do in the field as a good compliment. So I think any closing thoughts on Kyrie? The only thing I'll say is he couldn't get out of this league quick enough.
No, I think this guy, we saw what Jabbar did in the heyday and all that, but this guy's took it to a whole new level. And
yeah,
I just think, it's a player-driven league, but there's going to be accountability held across the board. And when you don't do that, this is the kind of problems. I'm telling you, man, I'm not going to pick up a guy like this to sell tickets. I'd rather be losing with guys that are trying every night to get where we need to go, more so than picking up this cancer and just being derailed every night.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, to me, if I were the Nets, send him home. And I do agree that 5-game suspension will be way more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the owner, Joe Tsai, they've listed a lot of conditions on this guy. He's not going to meet him and only sit out 5 games. In fact, if he only sits out 5 games, this will be an absolute PR nightmare for the Brooklyn Nets for sure. So I think he minimum 30, but I wouldn't be surprised. And bear in mind, say what you want about the metropolitan New York area, but it's a predominantly Jewish area out in New York. So if you're really looking to alienate the Jewish people in New York, bad move. You'll get run out of town soon. And Adam Silver can say, Kyrie, in addition to this problem, I'm not thrilled with the drama either. I know David Stern would have handled it a whole lot differently. He'd have run him out of here after this one.
Well, and not only that, he had a chance to apologize, and he
flat out refused. But twice.
Yeah, right. and now and rather than swallow your pride and become humble on a situation, you put your foot in your mouth. Don't try to tell everybody that you're not missing $330 million. That's a lot of cash to be missing.
Yeah, well, and counting. Don't forget the word and counting. If maybe I should go out there and put one of the hashtags and counting, because that's exactly what I should do. Yeah, no, I would love to see Kyrie Irving get blackballed from the NBA, and we don't have to hear another peep out of him. I really would, and I don't even know. I would just prefer to see him blackballed and out of the league. We all saw once upon a time Latrell Sprewell could not feed his family in the league. How did that work out? Now Kyrie Irving's a far more vicious version of
Yeah.
Latrell Sprewell because of all the drama he's caused on 9 million fronts. With this one being the straw that broke the camel's back, I can tell you right now, David Stern would have put up with this garbage. So I hope that Adam Silver has enough guts to put his foot down in the same manner that he did with Donald Sterling and tell it to Kyrie straight. I've had enough. Okay, you want to play in this league. Okay, there are certain ways you're going to represent it, and that they should take the NBA like the NFL shield. You protect the league any way that you can. And
Yep.
so,
Totally
really,
agree.
yeah, in conclusion, I hope Kyrie Irving gets blackballed and never plays another game in the NBA. That's my opinion. One last topic to get to, and I knew that this Kyrie Irving could take a little bit of time. Major coaching change in the National Football League today. Frank Reich fired Saturday, goes in as the interim coach. Prior to that, he held a cushy job working over ESPN. I like watching Saturday on ESPN, but here's a guy who has an incredible record out in Indianapolis. Pro Bowls, Super Bowls, whatever the case may be, and he was serving as a consultant. And I guess really what it comes down to is Jim Irsay just seems to trust Saturday. So first of all, this is a two-part question, Mark. What are your thoughts about the Frank Reich firing? And then the second question I'll ask is, what are your thoughts about the Jeff Saturday being an interim guy, since he's never had any coaching experiences behind, except with the exception of high school?
Well, Frank Wright reminds me of the Frost of Nebraska. I mean, basically last year when this team struggled and they went on that big winning streak, and then they lost their last two games. I think it was to the Raiders in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I was at that game, actually.
Yeah, and Carson Wentz took the fall for it, and there was no, backing up by Frank Wright. So I think karma came full circle for Frank Wright. And I mean, to throw Carson Wentz under the bus, and I like Carson Wentz a lot. I mean, I know he's been injured in Washington and stuff, but I looked at last year in on that winning streak, and then when they lost those last two games, there was no, backing by Frank Wright. Once for, it was almost like, they were blaming Carson Wentz why they didn't get in the playoffs. And you know what? I really looked at Frank Wright in a whole different, way. And you saw it came full circle. And look at what he's done this year. He has done nothing with this team. I think he was stealing paychecks, and I like Jeff Saturday a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I will say, all right, so Ralph Williams in the comments should have waited till the end of the season to fire Reich, and Saturday has no idea. Sorry, I disagree with you on that one, Ralph. I think the move was appropriate, and I know they traded draft picks to get Matt Ryan, and it failed. Yeah, well, okay, well, good point there on the second half, Ralph. Let me get to point number one. I was at the Jacksonville game where the Colts lost, and that was definitely something. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars have had the Colts number in Jacksonville anyhow, but he was definitely a scapegoat. But when Matt Ryan got whipped out in Jacksonville, then what are you going to do? Throw him under the bus too? So, Ralph, I do disagree with you. I think the switch was made at the right time. Jeff Saturday is a consultant, so it's not like he doesn't know what's going on there. And I think they need to get him in there to try to go out there and fix a lot of the offensive line problems that they have, in addition to showing a lot of energy. So I actually am intrigued by the Saturday hire. What do you have to lose? The guy's on house money right now, Saturday. He really, really is.
Well, he's not only that, he's a fan favorite. And the thing with Frank Wright, you didn't win nothing with Frank Wright.
Right.
And when I look at people, I don't necessarily look at the experience that they're bringing to the team. I look at the character, how you handle a team through adversity. And when this team went through adversity, he was throwing a lot of guys under the bus. And you brought up Matt Ryan, too. Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer where he came out of Atlanta. How do you throw this guy under the bus? And it wasn't just Matt Ryan. It was Carson Wentz before that. And, that's the thing. You can blame it on anything you want, injuries, and we didn't have this, and a tougher division, and Tennessee's 5-3 and all that. But this is a team that was supposed to do some damage this year. I think it was great on Irsay's thing to pull the plug and save the season in somewhat fashion and bring it into Jeff Saturday, who's been a Pro Bowler there, a fan favorite, and a guy that will do it the right way.
All right. Well, you know what? Guardy3 really nails this comment too. We'll end the broadcast on his comment because Guardy3 is really on top of this stuff. The issue is they relied on Ryan too much. They went from running the ball 47% of the time, top 5 in the league, to around 34%, which is in the bottom half of the league this year. Well, there you have it. Guardy3, right on spot. He really is. So, again, I am pulling for Jeff Saturday to do well. I used to like watching him on Get Up as well as First Take. The guy knows his stuff, so why not? And he knows the Colts organization well. It's a trust thing. So I hope he does well. Of course, if he gets a full-time job, they certainly have to adhere to the Rooney Rule as well. But but they don't have a Rooney Rule when it comes to interim hirings, so it's a good chance to get an audition there. So, so folks, this is Fire Up. My name is Scott Morganoff, Motor City Madmouth. Please be joined by my co-host, Madman Mancini. We do a lot of stuff together. We work with Bruce Kessinger on Saturday Sports Talk. And of course, Mark and I have our own gig here as well. So really been a lot of fun tonight. Certainly 3 strong topics that warrant a lot of attention. So with that said, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, Mark?
Well, XM 203, Sirius 217, Philadelphia's WWDB AM 860. Just finished the Pittsburgh Pirate podcast with Tarek Brock. I love doing this show on Mondays. I'm going to miss you next Monday. Celebrated my 61st birthday, but man, oh man, I think you and I have something here. We just keep building on it every week. We take topics, we break it down. The listeners become engaged. I'm telling you, man, it's never the goal. It's the journey, baby. And we're on a hell of a journey.
Yeah, no, Mark, I like working with you. We're close to the same age. It's a lot easier to work with somebody where you are in comparable eras. So we can certainly relate to a lot more topics than most people can, because we do go back a little bit. And again, when you work with somebody where you have mutual respect, it makes the show a whole lot more enjoyable for sure. I mentioned our contact information. I should add a couple of other things. You can also reach us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And as I alluded to, Twitter @Tribune South. Special shout out to Candy Ebley. What an unbelievable job she does posting the content from the broadcast as well as the written content as well. So Mark, as always, enjoy having you on here and looking forward to continuing to build this show. And, whether it's on a Monday night or whatever time we decide to do it too, we want to make sure that every individual that comes on here benefits as well as they can to learn. And special shout out to Guardy3 for being active in chat. Guardy, right on point. And folks, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. All it takes, go to youtube.com and hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of stuff in there, whether it's the media availabilities, whether it's one-on interviews on site, as well as the stream. And I have a lot of good things.
Candy does a hell of a job. And not only that, Scott, the thing that makes us successful is we don't care what they talk about or whatever. We'll bring it to the forefront. We'll dissect it. We'll digest it. We take no prisoners. The listeners come in here. They know what we're talking about. Why can't we be the next Stephen A. Smith, Bomani Jones, and all these guys? We're that good. They only have a bigger platform. We'll get there, man.
Well, I have no doubt in my mind, Mark. You surround yourself with teammates that are committed to the same commitment, and I have no doubt in my mind. If I did, I certainly wouldn't be working with you, much less enjoy working with you. So please take that as a compliment. You do get them every now and then. So this will be one of those that you can actually take to the bank, and you do get it. No, I really do enjoy working with you, Mark.
I love you, brother. You know that, man. We take no prisoners.
No, we don't. So meanwhile, on behalf of Madman Mancini, my name is Scott Morganoff, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Fire Up, and we will catch you on our next episode. Once again, rest in peace, Aunt Mary Must, and go out there and go to the polls. You can make a difference tomorrow. So take care. We'll catch you on our next edition of Fire Up.